Thank you for taking the time and the opportunity to click on this video. Hey, if this is your first time, first of all, welcome. I'm glad that you're here. If you found this video value today, please like, share, subscribe, share it with someone that you know that will really find value with this video. And also a comment lets me know to continue producing this authentic content that I have to be able to share value with the masses. So that being said, as the subject line describes today, the conversation is going to be one that is near and dear to my heart, very intentionally placed as I look back over this past year, 2023, where a lot of reconciliation took place in my own personal life and my family. And then also I felt like it's a subject and a topic that we don't really discuss as much. One of those taboo topics within the African diaspora, the African American community within the United States, as it pertains to the black sheep. So I wanted to start off with like Wikipedia's definition, right? So Siri, Wikipedia, and kind of talk about it a little more in detail of how we look at it and maybe some of the secrets and benefits of being close with the black sheep of your family. Here it goes. So in the English language, the black sheep is an idiom that describes a member of a group who is different from the rest, especially or pertaining to rather a family member who does not fit in. The term stems from sheep whose fleece is colored black rather than the more common white. These sheep stand out in the flock and their wool is worth less as it will not die. If I was a pastor, that's a word right there I could use. Let me run that back. These sheep stand out in the flock and their wool is worth less as it will not die. Not going to preach today, but if you get a word from it, then hey, it did what it was supposed to do. I allow the Holy Spirit to come into this conversation for sure, because this is something that I take very serious and it hits near and dear to the heart. So let's talk about the black sheep of the family. For those who may not know and may not have an idea of this or experience this personally, in dysfunctional families where maybe there is not a patriarch, so let's say not a granddaddy, a older father figure, a father itself, a grandfather or uncle, or maybe in a family where there's not a matriarch in a family. That could be Big Mama, that would be your grandmama, your great grandmother, whatever the case may be. Families where the unit itself has suffered some blows, some traumas, some things that have been derogatory in the family itself. You will typically find more often than not, I don't have the statistics on this, but I'm telling you this is real from my own experience. You will typically find in those families a black sheep. Now, a black sheep is genuinely speaking, depending on what side of the perspective you're talking about it from, the person who A, left everybody else. Or if you look at it from a different perspective, I would say maybe more of a red pill perspective or more of a conservative perspective. The black sheep is the one who made it out. A black sheep is the one who studied hard in school, got a scholarship to go off somewhere and pursue their education. They are the one who went to the military, signed up and enlisted with the U.S. Armed Forces and joined the military and were able to travel the world and have an amazing military career and come back as a civilian and contribute to society. The black sheep is the one who maybe married a man or a woman who wasn't as favorable to the rest of the family. Maybe it was somebody that the family looked at and saw that was a little snooty, or maybe words like stuck up will come into play, or they didn't fit with the grain of the family itself. I'm just going down the line of how a black sheep could be viewed. A black sheep of a family could be someone who didn't give back. I'm gonna touch on that too. You know, a black sheep of the family could be someone, if we're talking about an African family, whatever the case may be, first generation could be the one that said no when the family back in the village asked for money for school fees or to build a home, a house, or whatever the case may be, they could be the one that is then exiled or look like the Americanized, as the word they like to use, child who decided to go against the grain and not take all the money that they've earned or what little bit they might actually be earning to send back to help out the rest of family members. I'll use an example that I heard from somebody's podcast. It was a financial platform. I can't remember if it was EYL or another platform, but typically the way that wealth is supposed to transfer within the family, just talking about purely the financial point right now, is wealth is typically supposed to be passed down, right? Like it's supposed to be you start a life insurance policy, you gain assets during your lifetime, you buy homes, you get rental properties, you pay off cars, you accumulate these assets. And when you die, you know you can't take them with you, but you plan ahead. You do what's called estate planning to ensure that what you've accumulated in your lifetime can then be protected and passed down to the children so they don't have to struggle, so they don't have to go through the same things that you went through. But what typically happens within the black community, the African diaspora, whatever the case may be, is that wealth is passed up. Over the course of different generations, that one black sheep, most often, I'm going to get on that a little bit more in a second, the one that was the overachiever, the one that went to school, the one that is financially astute, ends up taking on the responsibility of the family and paying what's called black tax. This actually is from, I think it was an article that was actually in Forbes, if I'm not mistaken. I would try to find it and I'll actually link that. But the black tax is what they will end up paying. Black tax is when somebody in the family passes away and they didn't have their financial things in order. So that individual has to contribute or is asked to contribute to ensure that this person is put away nicely. You know, funeral arrangements, whatever the case may be. If there's medical bills that need to be taken care of, whatever the financial responsibility is, that person is usually looked at to be held accountable for that family unit. Whether that help or that need is from someone who is older than them, so a generation that came before them, or horizontal in the sense of a cousin, a auntie, a relative's kids, or whatever the case may be around them that just needs help. And the issue therein becomes where that abuse begins to take place for that individual. Now, this is true solely the financial aspect of the responsibilities that typically fall on the black sheep of the family. But I want to dig a little bit deeper. You also have the black sheep who doesn't go along with the nonsense. Like you have the black sheep of the family who might have grown up and saw the traumatic things that took place, the abuses, the neglect, things that might have been happening in that, the suffering. Maybe it's just that, right? Just seeing their parents constantly struggle and make poor financial decisions or poor decisions in general that kept them in poverty. And because they chose to live their life a different way and stand firm on their views and opinions that help to get them to where they are, they don't fit in with the rest of the crew. They don't eat like everybody else is eating. Everybody's entitled to their own diet, so I'm not gonna call out certain foods, but y'all know, like it's the person who don't eat the same. That y'all might be having a cookout, y'all got a whole hog on the grill. They eating vegan food, or they coming in with the black bean burgers and whatever the case may be. They don't eat the same. They don't drive the same type of cars. They have a nice vehicle when they come to Thanksgiving, whatever. Like it's that person that has kind of distinguished themselves by going a different direction than the grain of the rest of the family. Now I'm gonna tie this together. We're talking about the differences, the die right now, what makes them stand out, their choices, actions, and decisions that have led them to where they are. And then the other side I began with was kind of the financial side of the responsibility that has then made them out to be the black sheep, if you will, of the family. Maybe they didn't want to be. That's the third point I want to harp on. Maybe they didn't want to be. Maybe they had no idea that them pursuing greater in their career and their lifestyle, whatever the case may be, for the good of their family, right, would ever isolate them or alienate them from those that they love the most or those they were going so hard for. And in today's video, what I kind of want to talk about is the secrets of the black sheep, because as I continue to grow and develop as the man I pray God wants me to be, as a husband now, as a father now, and I continue to pursue my goals, my dreams, and my aspirations as I get older, I'm asking more and more questions about my own family dynamics, about when I'm having conversations with my homeboys, my friends, others who are overachievers. What's your family like? What's your family dynamics like? Like, how do y'all have conversations, or how do y'all discuss certain things within your unit? I'm more and more discovering that more and more young people, I would say millennials, are becoming the black sheep than ever before, than how it used to be. And let me break that down to you. Back in the day, we had larger families, right? Like back in the day, you had families like with 12, 13 siblings. I've heard of people having as much as 20 aunts or uncles, especially in the South. It was just different. So out of that, you might have 100 cousins easily, like easily back in the day. So you have these huge families, so much so that you can have like a favorite uncle, a favorite auntie. Nobody wants to admit it, but there's just family members within these huge families that you rock with more than others. So out of that dynamic, you get to see a wide spread of people who came out of the same household, came from the same upbringing, same religious background, if you will, character, morals, values, but take totally different avenues in life, you know? And as someone who now is leading a family, and establishing those principles and things of that nature, I think so much about the fruit of the family, the fruit of what morals, principles, values, what guidelines do you put into your family to craft the direction that family is going to go into. Overall success, overall achievers, overall high performing individuals that are going to love God, that are going to love their spouses one day, take care of their families, and contribute to society. A great example of this that I would use of, I think, a family that did that really well and does that really well would be the Wayans family. Like if y'all ever watched the Wayans Brothers show, or you ever heard of Damon Wayans, My Wife and Kids, the oldest brother was the one who started In Living Color, whatever the case may be. They are a perfect depiction and example of a family that made sure everybody got on. I'm talking about from the oldest sibling to the youngest sibling, whether they're in entertainment, movies, directing, whatever the case may be. That would be a great example of me of a family where one person's success, I'm going somewhere with this, one sibling success uh, did not I don't want to say foreshadow, but did not cast a shadow in a way that the other family members weren't able to find where they could fit in and contribute and get in and get on to the next level, right? I love that. I think about that story all the time. I think about how proud those parents must be of all of their children. I'm sure even the grandchildren that are in acting and things of that nature, of how those siblings stuck together and helped each other out. So when I talk about the secrets of the black sheep, right? I had the opportunity this year to speak with, personally, I had the opportunity to speak with a family member of mine. I'm going to leave some details out of respect and privacy, but I had an opportunity to speak with a family member of mine that I hadn't spoke to for 15 years. Like, it's over 15 years. I know the last time I talked to him, I was like probably dang near, sit in front of him and talk to him, I was probably dang near in maybe middle school. Maybe middle school. The last time I talked to him, the last time I was really around, it was like elementary school. Like one or two times. Close family member. Close, like blood, close family member. And man, we had a conversation that lasted for about 3 hours, man. I remember it like it was yesterday, and I had so many questions about his upbringing. I had so many questions about, why things had happened one way or another, or why this person seems so far away. Just a ton of questions, right? Without going in detail. One of the things that stood out the most to me that I want to bring up in this video was how this family member of mine looked at and discussed the I want to be careful how I say this. I'm gonna paraphrase this with privacy. The one thing that this person shared with me was the hurt and disappointment that was felt from experiencing success in life that they couldn't have dreamed of, that they couldn't have they could have never anticipated, but they knew they wanted better for themselves, and how hurtful it was to achieve or attain a new level, a new status in life, and the people that you love and care for the most, that you were in the trenches with, right? Like you grew up with, whatever, act funny towards you or act different towards you or unwelcoming when you come around, or not inviting you to certain things or certain things of that nature. And how over time in family dynamics, especially within the African American community, when we talk about the black sheep, how it can seem that the people who are always around, the people who are always at the cookout, because they live down the street, they never moved outside of the county, they never moved outside of their home state, they never left the coop, so to speak. They never left the house, so to speak. Some people would say never got off the porch, never hopped off the front porch. Like the family members that didn't take it to that next stage of, going off and taking over a new territory, if you will. How it can seem like, they down for the cause, they around, whatever the case may be. But the individuals that push hard in their own individual lives to escape, oftentimes real treacherous and just disheartening and dysfunctional and poverty-stricken situations, are looked at as wrong, or looked at as being too good for the rest of the folks. I think one thing that is called, that I learned in therapy, was called survivor's remorse, and how that individual feels wrong almost for their success that they've experienced, or they feel as though they let others down by picking themselves up. And I felt like it was important to record this video and discuss this, because as we're now in 2023 going into 2024, while inflation is high, we're seeing young people who are, look at the TikTokers, look at the YouTubers, look at so many people who are getting into tech careers, whatever. People are making a tremendous amount more of money than they made back in the day at these ages. Arguably, you could say that they didn't need this much money per se to have a great life in the 80s, 70s, 90s, whatever the case may be. Whatever the case may be, young people are really crushing it and killing it. And what I'm seeing from the pool of people that I rock with, those who have come from similar Southern background type of mentality things, grown, got into a career, God made a way for them, and they took off and ran with it and changed their lives. Maybe their parents, not their fathers now, they got a wife now, they're married. They're starting to experience some of the dynamics of being the black sheep, or being the one that's looked at differently, or conversations are cut short when they check in. You text people and they don't text you back, or you reach out to family members. The symptoms of being the black sheep. Maybe it's a family member that you see that's killing it on social platforms, or whatever the case may be. I'm gonna talk today, and your heart is like, you're in the position to help, or you're in the position to contribute to whatever that young family member's dream is, or whatever the case may be. And you want to help, you want to serve, you want to contribute, but you're in this weird position where it's like, I don't want my auntie such and such, or my cousin whatever, or whatever the case may be, or my sibling, to think that I'm trying to overstep in how they parent or how they move with their kids or whatever. It's just that when I was coming up, where I was coming through, nobody helped me. Or maybe nobody was in the position where they could financially pay for my field trip. You know what I'm saying? Pay for me to go and have certain experiences and do things. And now that cousin, that family member, that individual, the black sheep that's in position to do it and wants to do it, can't do it for fear of losing the relationship, or the relationship being tested by the individual because they're overstepping their bounds. I hope this video is making sense and hitting home with some people. It's like, shoot, it's almost like they're vilified for being successful, or they're vilified for doing well. And we don't talk about it in our community. And I hope people leave comments underneath this video and don't let me just be out here looking crazy. But I know I'm speaking the truth. I've experienced it in my own life. And I think, what is the cure? What is the solution that I'm trying to get at and understanding this? So we understand what made the black sheep, like what drive, whatever, pushed them to become what they wanted to become. Quick example to give you that: two twin boys grew up. Their father was an alcoholic. One boy grew up, he became an alcoholic. The other boy grew up, he'd never touched alcohol a day in his life. Sat down with an interviewer, asked both boys, son one, why did you become an alcoholic? My dad was an alcoholic. Son two, that never touched alcohol, why did you never become an alcoholic? Excuse me, my dad was an alcoholic. Simple as that. Two different individuals, two totally different decisions or choices they made in the same scenario and circumstance, and they turned out totally different. Some people will use that example and say, well, people just are people. People just are what they are. I could partially agree with that. I would also say as well, the dynamics of that relationship doesn't change the love and of how one brother viewed the other one, whether he was an alcoholic or not, but how people see themselves. Come on, Kobe, I know I'm talking. Like, how people see themselves when they look in the mirror will determine how they treat you. Boy, let me run that back. Help me, Holy Spirit. How people view themselves when they look in the mirror will determine what they say about themselves. If they even look in the mirror. God, dog, even they even really look at themselves. But if they look at themselves in the mirror, how they think of themselves will determine how they treat you. And you could have the best intentions. You can have, I'll tell you, I've talked to some folks. I've talked to my wife. Listen, I've talked to some friends before making this video. You can have the best intentions in your heart and be overjoyed to help a family member out or to try to uplift them, to encourage them, pour out dollars, pour out time, schedule Zoom calls, do whatever the case may be. But that good intentions in your heart, and even with the right approach, can still be met by that person with an attitude, with a spirit of just disgruntlement. I don't even know what word to put there. Just with a spirit that's unwelcoming. And it is ripping apart the black family. That's the caveat. That's the whole video right there. It's ripping apart the black family. And whether it's rooted in pride, whether it's rooted in misunderstanding, I don't know what it is, but it's a thing. And along with the other traumas and dysfunctional things that have happened as a result of just the dismemberment of the black family unit, I foresee that if we don't take advantage of our moment right now, where young people are doing well, black women are the most educated sisters out there right now, crushing it. People moving into entrepreneurship, getting into these great careers. Financial literacy is at an all-time high from what it used to be. You got more platforms and YouTube educational learning modules that you can use and learn to help your families move to the next level. If we don't take advantage of the ones who made it in our family units and figure out how you can get on and how we can become a unit to get right together as a whole, right? I don't know what us as a community 25, 30 years from now, where the average family has less than $5,000 saved, where the average black family, I think in the median household income in the United States is like $46,000 some dollars for two people in a household, where I forgot what the statistic was on credit when it comes to the black community. Basically, we ain't got none. But like when you go through all the statistics, when you go through the statistics of like single parent households, all the different statistics, we need us more than ever. We need ourselves more than ever. We need Jesus first and foremost overall, but like we need us group economics operating and working together as a whole to solve a lot of our problems that are happening within our community. And I truly believe that pride, I truly believe that not leveraging and using the assets and the individuals inside your life to get you to that next level is one of the things that is really harming our families. And I've seen both sides, right? I've seen both sides. I've been that family member that sat back and growing up as a young person because you're confused. You don't know anything. You just know we don't hang with such and such, or such and such don't call us, or such and such don't come and see us because you're young. You're just going off of the vibe of whatever the energy is of your parents. You don't really know. You don't really know grown folks' business, right? So I've been that young cousin or whatever. It's like, dang, like I wish I talked to such and such, or I wish I had a relationship with such and such, and it just gets tucked in the back of your mind. And then you grow up as an adult, you start to learn grown folks' business, quotation marks, grown folks' business, and you have a conversation. And this is where I'm probably going to put a call to action in this video. If there's somebody in your family that, and take this with a grain of salt, but I knew there was an individual in my family I needed to reach out to. It was in my heart one day. And I said, this person has done well for themselves. And I just don't have a relationship with them no more since I was a kid. And I want to know why. If there's somebody like that in your family that you need to give a phone call to, man, give a phone call. Get their phone. Somebody still talk to them. A cousin, an auntie, somebody, their mama, if your grandparents are still living, somebody got their phone number. Give them a phone call. You'd be shocked. You'd be shocked and surprised to find out how small. You'd be shocked and surprised to find out how small something could be that will make siblings or family members fall out and not speak to each other ever again. 20, 30, 40, 50 years or something, or whatever. Some people go to their grave and never speak to each other again. Now I'm not gonna sit here and say that all family you gotta like be buddy with, be in a group chat and talk to on the regular, because I do believe that sometimes in life you gotta meet people where they are, and sometimes you gotta leave people where they're at, depending on what the nature of the relationship is or whatever the case may be. I'm 100% gonna stand by that and say you have to find out that caveat, or you have to find that avenue for you. But if there's truly that person that you have questions about and you don't have that relationship and you're wondering why, man, all it takes is a phone call. And I'm here to tell you that you could get on that phone call and be in tears and cry, and that person be crying right there with you. And they'll tell you stuff like, man, I'm so glad we had this conversation. Or, I thought you ain't want to talk to me. Or, reconciliation is crazy, man, because our minds, I think it was Aristotle who said this. I think it was Aristotle. It was one of those guys, great philosophers from back in the day, who said that our imagination is typically worse than reality. Our imagination is typically worse than reality. Our imagination is what we think up and conjure up in our minds is worse than what actually is even real. So sometimes you come up with all these scenarios to block you from having a conversation with someone or about how somebody might think and perceive you. And if you have the opportunity to speak and have a conversation, it can enlighten and inspire and motivate and encourage and empower so much that you never could have anticipated. So that would definitely be a call to action from this video is if you have that person in your family who's like that, or somebody that you esteem and value and you've seen what they've done in their lives, in spite of the circumstances, in spite of the situation, man, tap in. I can definitely tell you it's been a blessing to me to do that. Wrapping up this video, again, solutions, causes, effect, everything, whatever. What does this mean for us as a community? As I get older, man, I'm just learning. Like, I'm just learning how we operate, how we move as a community, and things that I used to, when I first started my nonprofit in 2017, or When I first started doing poetry and spoken word, when I was really young, like 14 years old, performing and stuff, I used to have this very naive view on the world, and how we could solve solutions and problems. And I truly believe that we have to have a childlike imagination, curiosity, and enthusiasm to attack big problems in the world. You have to. It's the only way to remain happy is not the word I want to use. It's the only way to look at bleak situations and continue to have faith. That's what hope is, right? Hope is the in spite of. Whatever the circumstance, whatever the nature of the beast is, hope is saying, I hope and believe it can get better. It's belief. Now, I genuinely believe that there's hope for our community. Why? Because the gospel, the good news of Jesus Christ, he can save all. He can do exceedingly abundantly above all, 100%. I also believe that he has empowered leaders, good leaders. He's empowered thought leaders, figures who are within our community that, if we take heed, can really provide value that can shift and change and move the narrative forward, even if that begins with just a thought. Even if that plants a seed in somebody that's positive, that then invokes a correct action that they can take to better themselves, to better their family unit, and so on and so forth. That's what we need. So by recording this video, I hope that you walk away with a different perspective of maybe that person. Maybe you are the black sheep in your family and you like, bruh, you preaching today. Let me know in the comment section. Maybe you're like I was at one point, where you're the younger person and you're seeing the landscape of your family and you're either actively now thinking like, who is that person in my family that I can talk to, that I can really build a close relationship with, to take my own personal life experience or whatever to the next level, my career, whatever, and don't know how to start to have that conversation. Or maybe you know that person, but you don't have a relationship with them anymore. And you're like, yeah, I need to, and that might have been the same thing, but yeah, I need to, I don't even know how to get in contact with them, but I'm going to strive, I'm going to try. Because there's so many things that you'll learn about yourself. You'll learn from a different vantage point of the family. And I don't always want to say looking back, because sometimes it's horizontal. And sometimes it is indeed looking back at why someone had to continue to pursue or go the same way. I think it's so vitally important. And I pray for a day when a lot of things in our community, but I do pray for the day that we have the strong family unit of mother, father, children, back how it used to be, of having a strong family unit together. And I pray for a day where it's not just the immediate family strong unit that we have anymore, but that we take from the education and therapy and all the things that are happening now that can be leveraged to push us forward, and we start having strong like collective families again, like strong communities again, like not just your house good and everybody else jacked up, on the block type thing, but nah, your house good, y'all doing well, they blessed, they doing good on the block. He a doctor, he a lawyer, she's an accountant, she's a pediatrician, like they're in management project, like back to what and I'm probably dreaming right now, but I don't care. Like when we talk about like Black Wall Street, that's like we like to coin those terms and things of that nature, and like it's real popular to talk about. But we focus on the financial part alone, which is a big part. It's an enablement, 100%. Resources are important, but we don't talk enough about like what begets wildly successful individuals by having structure, by having order, by people choosing to be a good parent, choose to be active in that individual's life, to see those gifts, to cultivate those gifts, and to help that individual that is growing up, that young child, to go forth and push the narrative forward for the rest of the family, and do the same thing again with the next child, and do the same thing again with the next child. And then before you look up, like I gotta say it to our Nigerian brothers and sisters who come over and are killing it and doing it well, you got a whole family of doctors and lawyers because you set a standard for your family, a household. So it ain't no black sheep. How's it gonna be a black sheep when everybody killing it? Everybody doing their thing. Now you just got proud parents, and between those individuals, you now accumulated wealth that's going to be passed down and go forward within that family unit. But it starts with like first prioritizing family. It starts first with like putting principles in place that are the guardrails, the guiding north star, if you will, for what that family is. And you have to establish that as a man. Like I'm gonna go there. Like for me, principles for our family is first God, having a strong relationship with Christ is the head of our household, is the head of our lives. Then is family, like our relationships that we have with each other, and making sure those are maintained and are healthy and are growing. And next is career slash education, like education, continuing to learn, not just within the traditional set, but in your skill set. That way you can have a career, whether it's entrepreneurship that is your own, and or couple with a great career, which is the stability to be able to go and do what you want to do as well. Those are the principles of my family. Like, we got to get back to that. And I think by doing so, it just creates a more holistic and healthy environment in general. So that's my rant. That's this video. I hope you guys found value in it. This one was a little different from those that I've recorded so far. Excuse me, off the script, off the rip. But it's important. And I want to continue to bring topics like this that I feel like are not discussed, are taboo, and maybe add a different perspective or put something out there that you guys find value with. So if you like this type of content, man, leave a comment, like, subscribe, share with someone that you know. And again, I pray this continues to just provide value to you guys and that you're blessed. May heaven smile upon you is my prayer. Thank you for tuning in. God bless.